As you were!
Well done.
Marching through Georgia, hurrah, hurrah, we bring the jubilee. Hurrah, hurrah, the flag that makes you free. So we sang the chorus from Atlanta to the sea, while we were marching through Georgia.
Right, rear bolt. Rest. Stick on water.
Bear in mind that the Vikings, we've got a lot of Vikings here today, and they, I did actually ask yesterday, and they go from 800 all the way to Norman times. And some of the groups represent Norman Anglo-Saxon. Very interesting. At 2:30 we return again to the shootout in Wild West, and again back from Lone Star. And at 3:30 we return again to the Vikings for their second display of the day. We're going to finish at 4 o'clock here in the Media Main Arena, where nearly the second battle of the day, and this will be
Forward! March!
1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1,
Right to the left!
1.
March!
We're talking from here. We're talking from the main arena. This is the far end of the display, right the far end from the car park. And right now in the main arena we have the Confederates and the Union armies from the American Civil War of 1861 to 1865. Who are going to be giving us a little bit of a drill display on the equipment and on the tactics of the time. Now, the American Civil War Society is a very odd war. It comes in between the end of the Napoleonic Wars and, of course, the beginning of what we now know to be modern wars, such as the First World War. So, the American Civil War starts off with the belief that it's going to be another Napoleonic War, and by the end of it, it is pretty much a dress rehearsal for the First World War. We'll start off with black powder single shot muzzle loading rifles, which we'll also end the war with. By the end of the war we'll have breech loading guns. By the end of the war we'll have ironclads. By the end of the war we'll have telegraph. By the end of the war we'll have mortars, torpedoes, landmines and trenches. So yes, this is a very strange war in the fact that it doesn't actually fit neatly in what we normally look at.
If it's a dark blue, it's a regular. But by the end of the war, most of them are wearing light blue trousers. The gentleman nearest us is wearing an old-style frock coat, and on the other side you can see a couple of state militia jackets. They're the ones like I'm wearing a state militia jacket. At the beginning of the war, these uniforms were prolific, but as the war went on, especially for the Union actually began to produce sack coats, a simple 4-button sack coat, which was designed for the soldiers to do fatigues in. They, however, liked it so much they just started fighting it. They were issued forage hats. So essentially, the Union Army all ends up pretty much in these sack coats and forage caps. The sharpshooters are moving as they would in skirmish order, and you can see that they operate in pairs like a modern fighting force. In fact, it was very modern what they do, which was shocking because the rest of the army at the time thought it was a Napoleonic War. So they were trying to march into the line of battle just like they had in the Napoleonic times and fight a Napoleonic War at 50 yards. The problem was the rifled muskets they were carrying were no longer the same muskets as they'd started the Napoleonic War. I think our Confederates, by the way, are doing a beautiful job of showing you some of these manoeuvres, which would actually go from a marching force on the road into a fighting line. In fact, this is a really good example of it. There you go. And you'll also notice that it takes that fighting line in height order as well, so that they can still fight. The British Army had devised fighting in 2 ranks. 2 ranks works with muskets. The French had used 5. So 1 fires, 1 lays down. 1 fires, 1 lays down. You end up with 5 rows of unloaded men by the end of it. The British Army done 2. The Americans thought 2 was a good idea. 2 works. But this is exactly what they were talking about. This is order arms. Bayonets. Now, a lot of people ask, why are the bayonets in the American Civil War so very big? And in fact, if you look at the First World War, you'll see some of the bayonets remain very, very big. But you'll notice that some of them shrink. Interestingly, the ones that shrink are the nations who've motorized. The rest of them still believe cavalry is a weapon, and these bayonets are anti-cavalry bayonets. They are not designed to kill a man. That is the length of blade you need to kill a horse. However, during the American Civil War, cavalry charges simply stopped happening because they made this charge, and at 500 yards they open up with these rifles, they start killing them, and essentially cavalry charges got shot to bits. And by the end of the war, cavalry is used for largely reconnaissance, or they're fighting as mounted dragoons.
The Union Army is doing marching, well, literally, this is how they'd march and be defended. They'd be further out. We have minimised some of the distance here to show you these. Support arms, that's a comfortable position to hold for quite some time. You can also march with it. Shoulder arms is the one that everything goes through. If you're marching a long time, shoulder arms can hurt. You can change to support arms. Support arms can also be used on guard duty. There you go, in place rest, which is on guard duty, just chill. It's like a much more relaxed position. The feet are apart, it's a much better centre of balance. Firing by file. Oh no, you go first. Firing by file is unusual because you're used to these guys firing in volleys. Volleys are great, but then of course there's 20 seconds before anybody can actually respond. And of course, at 20 seconds, the enemy, if they're hid behind a wall, will simply get down while you fire your volley, then stand up, and then shoot you. Firing by file, use your regiments. Everybody fires one after the other. Now, firing by file does not have a stop command. So it's not, you do it and then stop, reload and wait. When you fire by file, you keep firing. So what happens is, you should end up with fire, 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 fire. Quarter way down the regiment, the first one's firing again, fire. And then one in every, what happens then, one in every, I'll get this right in a second, the numbers, one in every 7 men is firing at any given time. This means the enemy cannot predict or not simply fire at you in that lull because he doesn't know where it is. This, however, is a volley. They did a really good one yesterday, so if they do it right, it should sound like one shot. If they do, give them a big round of applause. No pressure. Oh, it wasn't bad, but you could hear the separate shots. Now, I've got to make you aware that, of course, today, I've got a little bit of a buy. There is some stagger fire because there is damp in the air. Some of the powder is delaying in actually firing. But now the weapons are clear. Right, let's see if these guys can do it by section. Not bad, not bad. You can still hear the individual rifle shots, but not bad.
Sideways into the wall, Brad.
Oh, definitely no. It's all on for you, Major Gibson. It's all on for you. Oh, he's going to do firing by rank. Now, if you were doing manoeuvre, fire, and you wanted to save half your firepower, you could do firing by rank. He's going to do it this way, which means we should have 2 beautiful volleys. Let's see if we can make it happen.
That was awful.
And then what would happen is, normally they would move, or if he was engaging multiple targets, he might ask them to reload and then do it this way. That, I think, is the best one so far. Definitely. But the Americans
simplified things completely. They did not take a tank and lift it in. They took a tank on the back. They took a World War I suspension. They took a very simple. The M3 Light Scout car is basically a real aircraft that about 2/3 the length. We're not sure. Oh, the Americans are retreating. They're out of here. This is not looking good for them. It looks to me like the Americans are. Oh no, they're retreating. It looks all like they've captured and destroyed American hardware. So it's not a good day for the Americans. Because then they'll be able to work out where the Americans were deployed, and they'll be able to go back and the commanders. So they'll be looking at unit designation markings on the vehicle. Oh, these paratroopers are here. I don't even think they were supposed to be there. I don't know if they knew that the Germans were here, but they certainly ran into that a bit fast. Oh, I think they've got themselves caught out. So British paratroopers, obviously left over from the landings, they're a bit stuck there. I don't think they were expecting the Germans.